Hey folks, welcome to the Daily Dude. Today I want to take a little look at minimalism, but first some random facts.
Our first random fact comes from Daniel L. Newcomb.
I was a DJ for 4 years on a local radio station. Did a not quite a syndicated show, but it did have quite a large viewing or a listener base. It was a Christian rock format that I used to do.
Suburban Homestead has our next random fact. Links to their channels and 30 random facts video is below.
Now, the type of music you might find me listening to would be anything that was done in the 70s, usually. So I like things like Simon and Garfunkel. I like Mamas and Papas. I do enjoy also Brazilian music from the 70s, such as Caetano Veloso and others. But I cannot stand 90s music, I suppose. Well, some of them might be nostalgic.
We start off today with a recommendation from TheTexasBoys. They recommended a video from Dirtpatcheaven. And Dirtpatcheaven, the video was interviewing Not Slothful. So that's the chain of events today. Links to everything below, including our first video, Amazing Do-It-Yourself Family is Debt-Free on One Income.
We went to propane. We filled it one time. I think it was like $200, maybe $300. We won't have to fill it again for 6 years. So if anything was to happen, we'd still have propane for 6 years. This is a Berkey filter. We have the filters in it, but instead of spending $350 on the whole cute little tiny system, we can actually get more water because it's 5 gallons. And then we just use the plastic buckets. And then we just figured out about a year ago, we use more freezer space. Not right now, I gotta go grocery shopping, but we use more freezer space than we do refrigerator space. So we went to a mini fridge and got a stand-up freezer so that we could stack them instead of it being all in our way. And the rule is if all your toys go over this basket, then we need to get rid of some. So if it can't fit in there, besides like a big item like that, then it has to go. Now, we just decluttered yesterday because my son's having a birthday tomorrow and I know he's getting new toys. So he was excited to get rid of some because he's getting new ones. So that was something he was actually looking forward to.
Julie from Dirtpatcheaven really did a great interview and tour with Rachel from Not Slothful. You'll definitely want to watch that entire thing. And Rachel just comes up with example after example of thinking outside the box, like with the using the propane. You know, if you're hooked up to the grid for gas, you're paying a monthly service fee whether or not you use any gas at all. In my area, it's like $24 just to have gas hooked up to your place, even if you're not using any of it. So, you know, that's a great example of thinking outside the box. And also being prepared for grid outages. So that was just a really good example. And then the example with the Berkey filter. You know, sometimes you just, the stainless steel containers are nice, and that can be a goal for a future. But when you're nickel and diming it to get through, to get to a goal in the future, you know, you go with some 5-gallon buckets and the filters to start off with. So that's another example of thinking outside the box. And then with the toys, and what stuck out to me was the refrigerator and freezer setup. I've just got a dorm fridge right now, and if I planned on staying here long term, I would do what they did with the separate, you know, just the dorm fridge for your fridge, and then have a freezer. And that was nice that they were able to get the stackables. If I were staying here, I would have enough room to just get a cheap upright freezer, and those are, you know, $120. You can find them cheaper than that on Craigslist or wherever. So that's just another another great idea that thinking outside the conventional box, well, we've got to have a $500 French door, you know, lower freezer, blah, 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 top of the line refrigerators. Shoot, some refrigerators these days sell for more than my house is worth. I don't know. Call me a minimalist, and we'll get to that later. Now, our next video, Be Not Slothful, and from interview from Dirtpatcheaven was recommended by the Texas Boys. So now I want to take a look at a Texas Boys interview with one of their friends that they went out to help with for the day, and this was also a really inspiring interview of, you know, somebody thinking outside the box to reach their goals.
So you live right now in a in a mobile home?
Yeah, like a travel trailer.
Travel trailer. Okay.
Yep.
So what made you decide to do that?
Let's see. It was like 3 years ago, our apartment went from $500 a month to $700 a month. So we bought the camper for like $4,000 and found a lot, you know, kind of out of town, but still a mile from the interstate, where we could park it and live, you know, a lot cheaper.
Oh, great. So basically, when you found this property, you just moved your travel trailer here and you were set up?
Exactly. Easiest move of our whole life.
Okay.
From nothing to homestead income in less than 11 months. The whole video is just worth watching. I hope you'll give it a look.
I love hearing stories like that, and I can identify with that also. You know, rent goes up, so looking outside the box to save some money. You know, buying a travel trailer, cutting down the monthly expenses, instead of that going to rent in somebody else's pocket, putting that towards land. And then when you get land, you don't have enough to put up a $100,000 house. Well, just move your travel trailer out there and get started that way. That is inspiring to me, and that's something that I've, you know, one of my goals in a sense. And that brings me to my random fact number 28, which is after the politics, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and I kept working for full-time, you know, 9 to 5, 8 to 4, whatever, for another year and a half after that, before I just, my body gave out. I just could not do it, especially the sleep schedules. I'd work all day, get home just completely exhausted, fall asleep immediately, wake up at 2 in the morning, and then it's just, you can't go on every day like that for very long, especially when you've got Parkinson's. So that was the end of my full-time employment. So I hit hard times after that. I pieced together what I could, did a lot of couch hopping and crashing here and there and everywhere, and you know, you make it through, and it's inspiring to hear these stories like Be Not Slothful, looking for ways to not only save money but to invest in your future. You know, buying the land when you can afford it, and you know, building up to it over the course of time. And I think one thing that they're doing is they're renovating their mobile home. They're increasing the value of it. They're flipping it. You know, we see all these TV shows about flipping houses and making buku bucks. Well, some of us can't do that, but you can flip other stuff. Mobile homes. You're not going from a, you know, $50,000 house to a $100,000 house. You might be going from $5,000 to $10,000, or from, you know, something in that range. And there are other things that you can flip. One idea that comes to mind is I watch a lot of travel channels and people taking cargo vans and converting them into camper vans. Put a bed in there with a storage underneath, blah, 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 maybe a small solar system, a little sink area, and you can, you know, flip a van. Well, there you might be going from $3,000 van and flipping it for $6,000 as a camper van or something like that. But there are ideas out there that take small investments that you can increase your assets. That's one way to increase your assets, little by little. I think the off-grid with Doug and Stacy today, Doug mentioned the saying, inch by inch is a cinch, yard by yard is hard. Well, yeah, taking on, sometimes you got to take one little bite out at a time, which was, that's been my random fact. I've been poor for almost a decade now, by any definition that it is, and you just got to take one bite at a time. It's another saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Just keep plugging forward, look for opportunities, not only to be to gain assets, but to save money also. I really like their gas idea. I can't do that here, but in the future, that's a goal to work for. So I kind of have to consider myself a minimalist, and you know, kind of forced upon you, as it were. But it becomes a choice also, and it's something that I plan on choosing in the future also. I don't need a lot of space to live. I don't need right now. I could, if I really had to, I could pack everything I have into a minivan and move on. I'd be leaving some stuff behind, like a mattress and some furniture, which was given to me in the first place. But you know, I could get out of here in a minivan without leaving much of anything valuable behind. And I'd like to stay like that. But obviously, once you get to the homestead, you're going to need a lot more tools and storage space. But you don't need a huge space to live in. At least I don't. You know, it's much different if you got a family and 5 kids, and I'm just some single dude. So, you know, a 12 by 24 shed, that sounds really comfortable to me, and it's cheaper to heat and air condition. And yes, I have to have air conditioning. That's Parkinson's. Those chemicals also affect how you regulate your body temperature. And so I just do not deal with heat all that well. I've done it for 2 summers, no air conditioning. I've already tried it. I already know. So that's one thing. It'd be tempting to go off-grid, but just I need the air conditioning. And then you want a freezer because you got to store all those chickens and ducks and rabbits and everything else you got going to help cut your food costs. And so, yeah, that's my interjection there. Okay, that's it. Take care. See you tomorrow. Always use the wind filter.